Good morning, my name is Noah. About 20 years ago, I started working with older adults after many years of working with dancers. I come from the dance world. And 15 years ago, I started working on a regular basis with older adults. And having a limitation opens a whole window of opportunities and a deeper understanding. And I found out that actually being on a chair, we can do a lot of things that in my younger days, I would see as limitation and like, anyhow, so we're gonna start here and we're gonna take it, and if you need to stop me and ask questions, go ahead and do so. I think you are all unmuted and we'll get going. So when we stand, the base is the feet, and it's really important to have the arch and the support all the way through the bones into the lower organs. When we sit, many times the sitting bones, instead of being on top of them, we roll behind them, and then all the organs are being kind of squished. And for some reason they design chairs like this, they think it's comfortable, our cars are this way. And most of the time we are compressed instead of having the space to breathe and be alive within in the space that we have inside. So let's have the feet hip width apart, aligned with these bones, the ilium bones. They have a funny name, the ASIS. And we're going to find the sitting bone that we're sitting on. And we're just going to warm up the pelvis by rolling backwards and finding, let me go into the side, going backwards a little bit and align them and being right on top of them. And from here we're going to roll forward just a little bit. And then we're going to come back up to erect, and we're going to exhale. And we're working slowly to actually give ourselves an opportunity to warm up, get the movement going, and become aware of what else is going on. So we're going to start paying attention to the feet. As I'm rolling backwards, do I shift my weight more into the heels? And as I come up, can you feel the toes maybe spreading? And as you pour yourself forward, so to speak, like if you're taking a pot full of soup and you're pouring the soup forward, can you feel more of the weight going towards the toes? And then back up erect. And as you go back, it's like you're zipping up a zipper on really tight jeans that just came from the dryer, and lift up as you inhale, and notice how you shift your weight into the feet and how you spread. Back to erect, and back, and up. And what happens to your feet? And how stable it is. It's kind of hard for me to look forward. Obviously, when you turn your head, things are changing. So we're going back as you exhale, and you come up, and you inhale forward. Notice now what happens to your chin. As you go backwards, does your chin tends to lower a little bit, and your gaze tend to lower a little bit. As you come up, you can look at the horizon, and when you go forward, you start looking up. Just a little bit, it's not huge, but I want you to see that the nervous system is organized inside us for functioning. And if we keep the head stable and not moving, then there's a crunch here. Some of us like the crunch. But if you're looking for harmony and efficiency, as you're rolling off your sitting bones, your chin will go down a little bit, your gaze will go down a little bit, and as you come up, it will go in towards the horizon, and as You are spreading, you're opening your toes, and you're looking up and forward. And going back. And now put your hands kind of over your knees and notice your fingers sliding up towards your thighs and over your knees as you're doing the movement. You can translate it into the cat and cow in yoga on all six, hands, knees, and feet. And if you want to make it a little bit more of an exercise, go ahead and anchor your fingers underneath the kneecap, called patella. And now, instead of allowing the fingers to move, we're going to hold it. And we're going to go the same movement, but the head and the eyes will go, and the head and the eyes will go. So now we are kind of getting the pelvis and the lower back to move a little bit larger and more forcefully. Trying to maybe stretch it a little bit. There are so many ways, aspects to wellness, and depending on which one we want to focus. So this is when we want to get a little bit more movement into the lumbar, the area where we put the belt on. And next we're going to take the hands, we're going to slide them up to the middle of the thigh. We're going to turn the fingers 45 degrees, and now the elbows are pointing forward. I tend to move my heels a little bit outwardly now to get a little bit wider stance and more base, but it's tiny, it's from here to here. And now I'm going to allow my spine to sink in between my shoulder blades. And I'm going to inhale and I'm going to bring my spine back to center. So my elbows are holding me. I'm like really stable, like a sphinx. And I'm allowing the spine to drop in between. I'm not moving my shoulder blades. I'm dropping my spine forward. And I'm lifting my spine back to center. Now, a lot of us, sitting for many, many years, will have a roundness here, or if not roundness, just it won't move. And it's supposed to move. So as we are going forward, we're sinking it forward, creating a flexion in the thorax, in the middle of the back, and we're lifting it and moving it back to meet the shoulder blades. Exhaling, going forward, and inhaling, coming back up. Exhaling, going forward, and inhaling, coming up. And come back to the center and rest. Shake your wrist, let them loose. And at this time, when there's a lot of tension and unknowing, this isn't always a good thing to do. Okay. And back to looking at the pelvis. So we're sitting on the very, very edge of the chair, which I forgot to say earlier, sorry about that, where you can feel the sitting bone. The sitting bone has a name, they're called ischial tuberosities. And we're going to they are this wide, and we're going to shift to the right side, and we're going to shift to the left side. And see if you can shift just far enough to align it with the thigh bone, the femur. Coming back to the center, shifting to the other side, and aligning it with the bone. And center and shift until you find the bone. And as you find the bone, you also might feel that there is more weight going into that foot. So when I shift to my right, I can feel my right foot anchored. Back to center, and when I shift to my left side, I feel more weight going into my left. So, right and left and right and left. And as you do the right and left, see if you can feel like a little pump underneath your heel. And as you feel that pump, do you feel the other hip, boop, rising off the chair? Up and up and up. But that's only concerning the lower body, and we are all one. So let's find what we can do. Shift your weight to the right, and as you shift your weight to the right, anchor your left foot down and see if the movement comes to the right side and up the ribs all the way to your shoulder. Back to the center. Shift to your left. Anchor your right foot and see if the movement starts climbing up your ribs and up to your shoulder. And back to center. Shift parallel, and as you press the opposite foot, the movement starts climbing up to the opposite. And why am I doing it? Because when we walk in opposition. So that crisscross happens organically in our movement, and we're just trying to reestablish it and understand it in a deeper way. So shifting to the right, pressing the left, and climbing up. And back to the center, and press the opposite foot. And you can do it small, you can do it slow, or you can experiment with maybe faster in the tempo that you will be walking. You play with it in any way that feels right to you. Maybe you just want to explore where in the foot the weight goes. Is it on the big toe? Is it on the little one? Are you dropping your knee? Is it still aligned? Do you feel strength? You ask yourself all these little questions as you're doing it to gain more understanding and maybe better. So, okay, come to the center. And now we're going to shift parallel. We're going to press the foot. See if you can have the whole foot finding the floor. And now lift the right side, and now you have a full diagonal. And now also look towards this arm. And come back down and reach to the other side. It's like you're trying to pick up a fruit from a tree. This morning I picked up mulberries from my trees. And up, 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 up. And center on exhale. And lift and inhale. And exhale and center. And inhale. And now turn your head away. And feel what happens in here when you turn your head away from the direction of the movement. And center. And head in the opposite direction. And center. And head in the opposite direction. and center, and head in the opposite direction, and center, and come back to the middle. Take a breath, full but not forceful, and exhale. And just as in between things, I'd like to show you things that I enjoy doing with older adults that sit a lot, or if you guys are still working and you're sitting in chairs most of the day. The lymph system is a system that moves pretty slow. It's like every other second or third day that it actually comes up to the duct and recirculate, and this is the main one. So we do things like ta-tam, 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 ta-tam. It's not big butterflies, it's very, very small. Think about hummingbirds. And then we turn the palms up. Ta-tam, pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Then we lift the arms a little bit further, not to shoulder level yet, halfway to shoulder level, and the same thing, move the arms a little bit further back so you feel maybe the beginning of a stretch. Maybe you want to open your thumbs away from the rest of the fingers. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. I'm hardly moving. Pa-pam, pa-pam, pam, pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Turn palms up. Move a little bit further back. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Coming up to shoulder level, moving the arms a little bit further back. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. My thumb is stretched back. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Turning palms down, moving the arms back. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Rest the arms. Inhale with shoulders lifting up to your ears. Hold it there for a second and then drop. Lift your shoulders with long inhale in. Turn palms back. Hold it there, hold it there, hold it there, and poof. And again, up. And poof. And up. Turn backwards. Hold it there, hold it there, hold it there, and poof. Same thing with the legs. We have a lymph system back here. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. It's just the heels that lift. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Pa-pam, 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 pa-pam. Okay, sitting on the very edge of the chair, if you forgot about that, I'm reminding you, find the sitting bones. And now we are going to move. There is a joint here that connects the pelvis bones with the sacrum, with the spine going all the way down. This joint gets very rusty. And the way to kind of maybe get a little bit of mobility there is to look at the legs as tracks that you can move forward and back. Now I can't really see you because you're in tiny little boxes there, but look at your knees and try not to let the knee fall inward. Try to still see your big toe as you're moving forward and back. I'm going to go to the side so you can see. I think, no, you can. Can you see that my knee is going forward and back? And if you put your fingers in the back here, at the sacroiliac joint, you'll be able to feel maybe a tiny, tiny little bit movement, maybe a smidge of a movement, and maybe a little bit more of a movement. Now the thing with the ligaments is that you don't want to overstretch them because they don't go back. It's like old underwear where the rubber is too old. But you do want to have movement. And in the hip, it's all ligaments. Connecting bone to bone. So we want them stable and pliable. The magic secret. And if you're doing it slow enough, you may feel that one leg wants to drop a little bit and these muscles are not supporting you, so then you're guiding it with your intention and your attention. Intention and attention. Very simple, right? Okay. Go ahead and bring your arms behind your head. Open your elbows wide, give it a nice little stretch for morning stretch. Look up. Have an inhale and exhale. Good. And now we're going to take this elbow, my right elbow, and I'm going to guide it over my left knee. I'm not trying to reach anything. I'm just guiding it, finding the rotation in my spine. And I'm inhaling back up. So do it again and just find the way to get with the elbow over the left knee. And then come back up. Maybe you want to exhale as you go down, feeling how the ribs are moving backwards, how the spine is curving and rotating. How much of it? Does it get all the way to your waist? Does it go all the way to your hip? Is it only in the shoulders? Are you able to soften the sternum and get movement in the back of the sternum and the back? What happens to your eyes? Start moving your head and eyes to look at your left elbow and coming back up. Allow your eyes to move up towards your left elbow and maybe your tongue towards your left side of your mouth, all the way back. We can use all the help that we can get internally. And the tongue attaches all the way back. It's actually a wonderful tool to work with scoliosis and help the spine realign. So go ahead and align the elbow with the left and rotate the head, the eyes, and your tongue. And inhale on the way back up. And exhale. And inhale back up. And one more time to this side. Exhale. And inhale back up. And we're going to try and do the same thing. We're not going to try. We are doing it with the left arm to the right knee. Finding the alignment. Not trying to reach. Just finding the rotation and the flexion and inhaling back up. And soften the sternum and introducing the eyes and the tongue. And again, you can do it as slow or don't do it fast. Really pay attention. How much does your back go backwards to allow the rotation? And we're going to do it one more time. And come back up. Relax your arms, interlace your fingers, lift your arms up, give yourself a nice stretch. Lift your ribs up, 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 up. Maybe give it a stretch to the right, to the left, and open up. Depending on your ability, you can stretch your left leg and glide your right leg up, or you can just lift your leg up. Bring your arms back up. And now we are going to combine the lower body with the upper body. So the knee will come halfway and the elbow will come halfway to meet one another. Now we're going to have to move the pelvis backwards and the sternum backwards and see if you can do it the same amount. So if you're very flexible in the hip and barely moving, that doesn't count. You want to do the same amount even if they don't meet. So exhale and roll your pelvis backwards and roll your shoulder forward. The aim is not to meet. The aim is to work equally with the lower body and the upper body. So there's nothing to succeed with. There's nothing, that's not true. There's nowhere to go. There's no goal in terms of I touched. It's the finding how to relate the lower body with the upper body. What do you have to do? So the movement, the quality of the movement and the quantity of the movement are the same, equal. And lower the right leg and lift your left leg either this way or slide it up. And again, where do I need to start the movement to be able to move the pelvis and the shoulder equally, time-wise and quantity-wise? Do you use your eyes? Do you use your tongue? Are you kind of going backwards in the center of the back first? And go ahead and lower the leg. Bring your right leg again. And now we're going to bring the shoulder and the knee towards one another and separate and get away from it. Going in, trying to get the shoulder and the knee towards one another, again with a rotation and a spiraling, and spiraling the opposite way. And go ahead and change sides. We're running out of time. Bringing the knee and the shoulder towards one another, spiraling inwards, and then spiraling outwards, and spiraling inward, and spiraling outwards. And come back to the center. Put your very soft fist on your sternum. We take a deep breath in, hum it out, and inhale again. third time, inhale. Okay. If you found it interesting and you want to see more, I have a channel on YouTube. I'll get closer.